Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show that shall not be named, where I do a drawing, say some stuff, and we all live happily ever after. Today's prompt is Sparkle, and this is the first in a new series of 3 drawings, where I decided the theme would be fantasy. So today we're doing a sparkly floating palace made of crystals. And that's very fantastical, isn't it? Here I'm going through with the pencil, sketching out some quartzy type crystals, just adding, facets and all sorts of angles and stuff all over the place. I don't know how to describe this. The hard part about doing crystals is that they're really complicated. They're like they seem like they'd be simple shape, but they're actually kind of complicated. And so shading them can be a little tricky, like getting which angles are facing away from the light source versus which angles are facing towards it, or what to do when you have one facing, if you have multiple angles, like facing kind of parallel to the light source, it gets a little confusing. Admittedly, on something like this, you can kind of just make it up, and it's a little more forgiving than, it might otherwise be, but yeah. So yeah, I just sketching in a little opening and some stairs and then a horizon line there. And then here I'm coming through with the fine nibbed fountain pen. This has carbon platinum black ink in it. Very water resistant. I've heard it's also archival. Not that really matters in a sketchbook, because it's never going to see the light of day, except for these videos. Yeah, so I'm just coming through and outlining everything and trying to make sure that it, everything connects up and makes sense, like geometrically. Like I said, it's kind of forgiving, so it's not that big of a deal. So it is just, imaginary, made-up stuff. I decided today that I was going to do the crystal part of the drawing with just line shading, and then the lower floating island section of it with the brush pen and, go a little bit darker on that. So you get a nice little bit of contrast out of that. And yeah, I think it worked out okay. I think that I still have a ways to go with the brush pen. I think a finer brush pen would actually probably be a little more useful for these, because these drawings are actually pretty small, and this is a fairly large brush pen. So I think if I had a little bit finer of a brush, I might be able to get some results that I liked a little better. That's part of the learning process, right? Right. Yeah, here I'm coming through with the extra fine and doing all my hatching. A little bit of contour lining. And then, yeah, I filled in the entrance with the brush pen and then switched over because I didn't want to go overboard with the amount of darkness. So I was just trying to be a little more conservative. And then, yeah, doing the hatching, like kind of perpendicular to the line there, kind of gives it like that, you know, like crystals kind of grow and they get this like little bit of a texture on the facets or whatever. If you look at one up close, it's almost like, you know, ridges in a fingernail, but sideways, if that makes sense. I don't know. Does that make sense? And then, yeah, I'm just coming through with more hatching, contour lining, doing some little wobbly, squiggly lines, almost like the surface layer of the crystal was like chipping away, I guess is kind of what I was imagining. I looked at some crystal drawings that Mobius had done, and he did a lot of that type of stuff where there's just like, like I was saying, it's like there's like a layer that's kind of chipping away on the surface of the crystal. And yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Pretty neat. And then, yeah, this whole time I'm just trying to imagine where that light source is coming from. Or trying to make it up. Yeah, here's a bunch of those squigglies. Some contour lines and whatnot. And then, yeah, here I'm coming through with the fine nib again and doing some hatching in the ground, the surface texture of the ground. And then I'll switch back and forth between that and the brush pen here to get some nice dark values in the ground in front of the crystal palace. Just putting little shadows in. I'm always really trying hard not to overdo it, and I feel like I always overdo it at least a little bit with the brush pen. I definitely want to pick up. They make some brush pens with finer brushes, and then also fountain pen brush pens. So they're refillable. And yeah, I want to try out a few different types. I like the line sort of shape you can get. It's like this tapered line, and then you can, like, as you press down, you can get a thicker line. I really would like to try something a lot smaller. See what kind of results I can get out of that. Maybe I'll just switch over to brush pens entirely. Probably not. And then, yeah, here I'm coming through with some cross hatching to get the kind of bases of the crystals, you know, to look like they have like some shadows underneath them, like, you know, give it a little more depth in the shadowy areas there. And then, yeah, just tons of texture hatching. I wanted the whole surface of this to basically be a medium tone or a medium value, and then just have like tiny little highlights and then dark shadows. If that makes sense. And yeah, I'm just coming through with more hatching, layering, more layers. Definitely feeling better today than I was in the previous video. The nuclear powered pig video. But yeah, I haven't been sleeping very well. I figured out is what it is. Also, it's a good idea to eat before you sit down and draw for multiple hours. So just, pro tip. Go ahead and eat a meal and try and stay relaxed. I feel like if I don't eat, I start to, I don't know, I stop thinking and just kind of tend to start making mistakes and stuff like that. Yeah, here I'm coming through with the brush pen some more, adding in some more darkness. Just trying to build it up carefully so that it doesn't get, I wanted it dark, but I didn't want it like solid black or anything, so. And then, yeah, here we're doing the background, the sort of hills in the distance. I'm just doing some horizontal hatching here. And then I'll come in on the corners and kind of give it a little bit of a vignette. And then, yeah, adjusting the tone again. I notice I'll go do a different part of the drawing for a while, and then I'll look at the, once I've been looking at something else for a while, I'll see like a little adjustment I want to make, so I'll come through and do it. And then, yeah, here's the sky texture in the background, kind of similar thing as the ground, just like a little bit of a hatching vignette sort of thing. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to come through here, and make some final, like, adjustments. Get those little crystal chunks popping out a little bit more. All right, well, that's pretty much the end of the drawing. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and comment, like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon. And I will see you all in the next one. All right, bye.